Hello everybody, today I'm talking about the respiratory system. Respiratory system involves the study of nose, larynx, trachea, lungs, gaseous transport, respiration mechanism, lungs volume, dead space, regulation of respiratory system, respiration in a cockroach, respiratory organs or disorders. And first I'm talking about the nose having history. Nose involve the nose hair and the nose gland and the nose bone. Nose hair remove dust particle from air, and the nose gland is name is mucus gland, and which release a sticky substance known as mucus, and it warms air. And the bone is present in the nose is pneumatic bone. Human nose having a bone, and which is pneumatic bone, and which is warming the air and so killing bacteria and virus. And the birds having a pneumatic bone also, but in birds this is hollow, so body weight is light and they can fly. Nose is olfactory organ having a membrane. Cnidarian membrane is a name, and responsible for smell sense. And then next I'm talking about the larynx, is also known as the voice box, and having 8 cartilage and 2 unpaired cartilage are there. Their name is thyroid and cricoid. Thyroid is having some outgrowth develop in a male compared to female, so known as Adam apple. And cricoid is a C-shaped cartilage, and the 3 paired cartilage are present in a larynx. Their name is arytenoid and carniculate, known as also cartilage of Cantoning, and the cuneiform. Larynx having a special outgrowth known as vocal cords, which is made up of muscle. And there are 2 types of vocal cords: true vocal cords and the false vocal cords. True vocal cords are having a pair, and in between this two vocal cords a space is present, which is known as a rima space, and this space is created when we not talk. And less, this rima space is less in a female, so their voice is sweet, and this rima space is high in a male, so their voice is heavy. And the false vocal cords also present in a larynx, and they both the true and false vocal cord are present in a pair. Sound production is done through the vocal cords, that is only due to the true vocal cords, and which involve the contraction of vocal cords, and which result in reduced rima space. When air comes in a vocal cords, vibration of vocal cords occur of true vocal cords, and which result in a sound production. Next, trachea. Trachea is a C-shaped cartilage which is 16 to 20 in a number, having a C-shaped cartilage which is 16 to 20 in a number, which made up of hyaline cartilage, and which prevent collapse of trachea. This is trachea, a pipe-like structure further divided into the fine pipe known as bronchi, and which goes into the lungs. And next, lungs. Lungs is a hollow structure. The lungs position is middle of the human body, known as thoracic cavity, and having a cage. From front, lungs is covered with the sternum, and ribs. From back, it is covered with a vertebral column. Lungs lobe are of two type, right and left. The right lobe is consists the upper part superior lobe, middle part or middle lobe is medial lobe, and the lower part is the inferior lobe. And the left lung having a superior lobe and inferior lobe only. And the left lung is a thin and long, and having depressed area where left ventricle of heart is situated. And a cardiac, which is known as a cardiac notch. Lungs is closed in a cavity known as pleural cavity, having a pleural fluid, and which limited the expand of lungs and prevent friction from other organ and prevent damage. A lung outer layer known as parietal pleura, inner layer known as the visceral pleura, and the cavity between these two layers is known as a pleural cavity. Structure in the lungs. There is trachea is present, which further divide into bronchi, which further divide into bronchus, and which further forms bronchiole, and which further divide into terminal bronchiole, which further divide into the respiratory bronchiole. And this respiratory bronchiole is having alveolus, and this alveolus having an air sac, and this air sac having an air capsule. And the air sac is present 250 million around in our lungs, which form the area of 100 meters square, and which make easily gaseous transport. And between the air alveolus and air sacs connect with the alveolar duct. And next, gaseous transport. gaseous transport of oxygen is combined with hemoglobin and form oxyhemoglobin, and in tissue capillary oxygen and hemoglobin is break and tissue receive oxygen. And one more poisonous gas is CO, that is carbon monoxide, is combined with hemoglobin and form carboxyhemoglobin, and this complex is 200 times more strongly. CO is 200 times more strongly bind compared to oxygen, so not break and no oxygen is supplied to the human body, and which result in a death. So CO is a dangerous and poisonous. And next is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide transport is happen through the directly by the dissolving in a plasma 15%, and 7% carbon dioxide is transport in the form of carboaminohemoglobin. That means the carbon CO2 is directly combined with hemoglobin, and the 70 to 75% is CO2 is transferred through the chloride shift method or hamburger shift method. In chloride shift method, this is the RBC structure, and near to the tissue capillary, what happened, the CO2 and H2 is combined from H2CO3, and which further forms the H plus CO3 minus ion and H plus ion. This both reaction is reversible, and this is happen in near to the tissue capillary, and outside the RBC, NaCl also present, which forms Na plus and Cl minus n. And now during transportation of CO2 from tissue to the RBC is the exchange of negative ion happen. That means the HCO3 minus moving outside the RBC and Cl minus ion moving inside the RBC. The HCO3 minus is moving HCO3 minus is moving outside and react with the sodium and form sodium bicarbonate, and the Cl minus moving inside. So the transport of CO2 is happen in the form of sodium bicarbonate, and the Cl minus moving inside and reacting with potassium ion, and the H plus ion is combined with the hemoglobin form HHB. So the sodium bicarbonate is now formed outside of the RBC and through tissue capillary. Now it's going closer to the lungs. Now RBC are moving closer to the lungs, and in the form of sodium bicarbonate. But when it coming closer to the lungs, the reversible reaction is going on. That means the HCO3 minus ion is again coming inside to the RBC, and the chloride ion is going again outside the RBC. Now the H3 minus inside, and which combined with H plus and form again H2CO3, and this H2CO3 is near to the lungs, is break into H2 and CO2. Now the CO2 is moving into the lungs, and through expiration it going outside. So this is about the transportation of CO2 through the chloride shift method. Next, I'm talking about the respiration mechanism. It involve inspiration and expiration. In inspiration, lungs volume and capacity increase due to the diaphragm getting contract, so the cavity is formed in a lungs. And one more thing is the sternum is getting upward, so again the total cavity is increases inside, so the atmospheric pressure is high, so air moving inside the lungs and lungs getting expanded. So this is known as inspiration. And during hard work and exercise, one more muscle is working, which is present between the sternum, and which also helping through the contraction in an increase of lungs capacity. This muscle name is intercostal muscle getting contract and increase lungs capacity also during hard work and exercise. And there is a contraction of diaphragm muscle and intercostal muscle, so this process require energy, so this is an active process. And one more muscle is working during deep breathing only. The muscle name is pectoralis major, which just moving upward to our shoulder and helping in a deep breathing. So this is pectoralis major, which moving shoulder to the upside. And during expiration, the diaphragm is getting relaxed. So cavity is reduced, and the sternum is getting downward, so again cavity is reduced. So there, due to reduction in a cavity, the pressure through the pressure, the air is moving outside. So this is generally in a normal stage, the moving the due to relaxation of diaphragm and sternum moving inside, the air going outside. This is in normal stage. And Also, the intercostal muscle is in a relaxed stage, so their overall cavity is reduced and the air moving outside. This is expiration. There is a relaxation of diaphragm muscle and intercostal muscle, so there is no energy required. So this is a so expiration is a passive process. So this is all about the inspiration, expiration, and respiratory mechanism. Now, the lungs volume. Lungs volume is generally respiration involves inspiration plus expiration. So the tidal volume is equal to normal inspiration or a normal expiration. Volume of the air is around 500 ml, and the inspiratory capacity is equal to normal expiration plus maximum inspiration is 1200 ml, and the expiratory capacity is normal inspiration plus maximum expiration is 2200 ml, and the residual volume is always remain in the lungs, it's 1000 ml, and the inspiratory reserve volume is equal to forcefully expiration and then inspiration. The volume is 2500 ml. The expiratory reserve volume is forcefully inspiration, then expiration is 1500 ml generally, and the vital capacity is inspiratory reserve volume plus expiratory reserve volume is 400 4000 to 4500, it's vary. And total lung capacity, that is TLC, is IRV plus ERV plus RV, that means inspiratory reserve volume plus expiratory reserve volume plus residual volume, it's 5 liter, and it's vary to 6 liter also. Now there is space, some organ there is a on which there is a air deposition. The organ, if this organ using O2 functionally used for functional use, their name is larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles. So this organ known as the physical dead space, and air deposition if occur in an organ which use O2 but less active. This organ name is alveoli and air sac. So these organs are known as a physiology dead space. And next is the regulation of respiratory system. There is a lungs, if lungs is getting fully expand with the air, then in a lungs alveoli is present. Alveoli consist receptor known as a stretch receptor, so they get a stimuli after fully filled with the air. So stretch receptor getting a stimuli, and then stimulate during full lungs fill, and this stimulation message is going to the brain. This message is going to the brain, and especially the medulla and pons, which have in a centers known as the inspiratory and expiratory center. So they get in a message, and now again they stop in the deep breathing in the lungs. So this is the regulation of respiratory system. And next is respiration in a cockroach. Respiration in cockroach having an organ known as a spiracle. This is the respiratory organ of a cockroach, which further divide into the trachea, having a tracheal tube, and which further divide into the fine tubes known as a tracheole. So this is all about the respiration in a cockroach. Next, respiratory organs. Animals one side and another side respiratory organs. Animals like lower invertebrates, example sponges, coelacanths, and the flatworms, etc., are doing respiration through the body surface by simple diffusion, and the earthworm is doing respiration through the moist cuticle. Insect doing a respiration through the tracheal tubes, and the aquatic arthropods doing a respiration, and fishes and the mollusks all doing a respiration through the gills, and the reptiles, birds, and the mammals doing through the lungs. Amphibian like frog doing through the moist skin. And this is respiratory organs. And next I'm talking about the disorder, asthma, emphysema, and the occupational respiratory disease. In asthma, the inflammation of bronchi and bronchioles, and which causing difficulty in breathing and causing wheezing, which is a sound produced during respiration. Emphysema is due to alveolar wall are getting damaged, and due to this the respiratory surface are decreased, and which is a long-term chronic disorder. And the alveolar wall are getting damaged is due to the main cause behind this is the cigarette smoking. And occupational respiratory disease is due to the grinding or stone breaking. Some dust is produced due to long exposure, the inflammation of respiratory organ, which leading to the fibrosis, which is serious lungs damage. And to stop in this, the worker should be suggested to wear protective mask. And this is about disorder. This is all about the nose, larynx, trachea, lungs, gaseous transport, respiratory mechanism, lungs volume, that is space, regulation of respiratory system, respiration in cockroach, respiratory organs, and disorder. And this is all about the respiratory system. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more.